And this is the show you've all been waiting for. This is the beginning of rockfish season. We're going to be bringing in Wayne Kotow from CCA California.org. He's going to be trying to answer all your questions to the best of his ability. But gang, I want you to understand, we're going to keep looking at the questions as they come up on the screen. I will only allow the good ones. Don't get all emotional here. We're just going to try to explain to you what's going on out in the ocean and what we're up against and all the good things that CCACalifornia.org has done for us as fishermen and women in the state of California. And it's a ton of really good stuff. So we're going to focus on the good and we're going to stay away from the negative today. Gang, first of all, it's Deckhand Sports Friday. We always talk about Deckhand Sports. We got a cool little video to show you in the middle of our podcast today, but it is Deckhand Sports Friday. They make the most killerest kill bag in the industry, so we'll show you a little video about that. I know Dave's watching, so if you have any questions about the bags or Deckhand Sports in general and all the cool products that they have, you can go ahead and throw your questions up on the screen for Dave too. He's right here watching. Also, we have Chris from the Star Tournament watching, and we got all kinds of people watching today's show because this is a very, very important show for all of us in the industry. What I would love for you all to do is hit that little share button on the bottom of your screen. It looks like a little Nike swish. Hit that little share button because I'm sure there's plenty of people in your Facebook or your YouTube sphere of influence that needs to hear what we're going to talk about today and all the positive going on in the ocean today and all the great things that Wayne and all of us that are involved in CCA California have been a part of, and we keep fighting, and I want you all to understand what's going on out there. So this is going to be a very, very enlightening show. We're going to get to find out a lot about the inside of what's going on. So just kick back, relax, enjoy the show. If you have any really good questions, feel free to send them in on the side there. We'll do our best to answer them. We'll put up the good ones, I promise you. But hey, without any further ado, I want to bring in Wayne, and I want to introduce him to all of you so you know who this man is. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave Hansen. How you doing?
Good. I just want you all to understand, when my dad was the last year he was on the planet, he looked at Kelly Girl, he looked at Wayne, and he looked at my sister Donna, and he said, the three of you are in charge of David. And so whatever's going on, you got to blame Wayne, Kelly, or Donna. It's all their fault. It's not mine. They're in charge of me.
Yeah, that was a scary statement there, right there, man. We all knew what that assignment was about.
So, Wayne, you've been in this industry for a very long time, and you've done pretty much everything you could do. Most people don't understand that. So just tell me real quick how you got into fish. Someone took you fishing when you were a little kid.
Oh, that was my dad. My parents took us fishing everywhere we could. I mean, and I got the bug when I was very, very young. So pretty much been fishing my whole life. Well, we weren't rich by any means. And this goes back to the days, Dave, you remember, with the barges off the coast. The pier, Newport Pier, didn't have rails. It was just a concrete pier going out. Many of the piers were just wood. Back then, we used to get on cattle boats from the bottom of the pier, like your dad used to launch. You used to launch, and it was way back. And then going freshwater fishing, we'd spend 2 weeks up in Mammoth fishing the streams, and it just created a bug. I have not actually been in the industry my whole life. I've been a fisherman my whole life.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, fisherman. I've been doing that. But my whole career mainly was in the food industry, everything from raw goods to the consumer, manufacturing, retail, sales, everything around the world. So that was my background. But this one's my bug. This is my passion. I got to the point where I've been doing a lot of stuff within the industry. I used to do Make-A-Wish Tuna Challenge, which was one of the largest fundraisers for the Make-A-Wish here in San Diego and Riverside County. So that kind of got me in industry. I used to work around the boats. I worked at a fishing tackle wholesaler here in San Diego. So that got me involved with manufacturers and the retailers and the brokers. So it put my foot in the door. I've been going to the shows forever. Obviously, all of us kind of grew up with the shows. So I had a good rounding of stuff. And then 2015, CCA California came around. and they asked me to interview, and I did, and they gave me the nod. And I was in a good position at that point because I had left the wholesaler and the fishing tackle wholesaler. I was out of the food industry. My kids had been grown, so I had a point where I had the opportunity at the time and the resources to do it.
And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. People don't quite understand all you do. And they're like, wow, Wayne must be making a fortune, all this money. I think you're up to what? You're getting like 19 cents an hour now or something like that, maybe.
Why,
On
did I
a
get a
good
raise?
day. On a good day. On a good day.
When we talk about this job, it's not for everybody. It is a tough job. When we talk about saying that we're working 6 and 7 days a week, it's real. Everything happens, these meetings, government meetings, and all of this stuff that we do during the day, but then all the clubs and events are nights and weekends, right? And when Monday morning hits around, you may work a show. I don't care which show it was, up and down the coastline. Monday morning hits, you're back on the road, or you're back doing more meetings. So you don't ever get that. You never make up those days that you lose. And it's definitely a job of passion. I'm relatively pissed off over everything that's going on with our industry and the regulations and stuff. So that's why I fight so hard.
And then, gang, you don't understand. Wayne phone rings off the hook, middle of the night. When anybody finds out something that's going on, they call Wayne instantly and they go, what did you do now, Wayne? Well, now what did you do? And it's like Wayne's doing everything he can to make it so we get to fish. And the reason I wanted to start the show off understanding that Wayne, just like all of our guests, when we were little kids, someone took us fishing and that got the passion. And that's why it's so important to Wayne and myself and everybody involved with CCA. We got to keep fishing open so that children can get exposed to fishing. It changes your life. It's an absolute life changer. And we had Dan Hernandez on a couple weeks ago talking about how much he gives back to children, and he's constantly, and Kevin Brannon up there in Channel Islands, how much he does for the kids. And then we had Mike Lum on here, who does a phenomenal amount of stuff for children, Rollo's kids, taking kids fishing. And then everything that Wayne and CCA California.org stands for is taking children fishing, because when we lose this, and then we're on a mission to lose this, that's what the whole thing's about, keeping it open. I can't imagine living in a world where I can't take my grandkids fishing, Wayne.
Nah, me either. No, and I'm a fairly new grandfather here, with a 1-year-old grandson, and that's my fear, right? The whole point is responsible and sustainable fishing for the future. That's everything that we push, and it's so real. It's so. If anybody didn't realize what happened during COVID and what you could lose, that was the time period. And I do not know how everybody, after a couple of years, forgot how much they wanted to go outside, how much they hated being locked down and not having access to the water, to the ocean, to the outdoors, to nature. Everybody needs to understand that is on the line right now.
Oh, it's so scary. All the different things that are on the line right now are all designed for us to not take our children fishing, which is unfortunate. And we need to get a little bit of clarification as we move forward so that we don't. Gang, Wayne and I were talking before we went live. Those of you that love to complain but aren't a part of the process and aren't a part of CCA, you really don't even, I don't know why you're not helping us. We're trying our damnedest to keep this whole thing going. And Wayne and I talked about this a few months ago at Bart Hall. Wayne's going in there by himself pretty much all the time because none of us have time. We're all chasing the almighty dollar so we can live on the planet Earth. Wayne goes in there by himself, standing there, and 150 people are all in front of you that are all getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to stop us from fishing. It's so sad. And gang, you all just need to be a part of CCA California, because it's going to take money. Unfortunately, the bottom line, it takes money to have any chance to slow this freight train down. And for lack of a better word, Wayne, wouldn't you call it a freight train coming down the tracks to try to close everything?
That or an avalanche.
Okay. That's a good analogy. I like that one too.
Yeah.
So let's get into some nuts and bolts here. Let's get into the big thing that I saw you worked so hard to do, and I'm so happy that you did it now that I live in Mexico and I don't want to get a fishing license that starts on December or January 1st and ends on December 31st because I'm not up there. Then I'm not in there. And now you work so hard to get us this 365-day fishing license. I mean, CCA was a huge part of that. Talk about some of the positives.
That was a heavy lift. There was 9 failed attempts, 9 years of failed attempts before us. We grabbed it on the 10th year and we got it through in the first try. It's about learning how to play the game through the legislature, getting the right votes, getting the people that were blocking it up and getting out of the way. It had been work in process because we did this thing called R3, which is a program that's in the state that the department and the Fish and Game Commission approved after all the work that we went into it. And it's recruit, retain, and reactivate anglers and hunters, right? So this was one part of that process that we needed to get through. By being part of that and understanding the campaign on how we were going to get there, we were able to get them on board to get out of the way of this. Now that we're in, the 365-day license is in. It's been around for over a year now. And the fear that the department and everybody had of license sales and numbers and dollars going down did not come to fruition. It's because we learned from the other states that had gone through it and had to live through some pain. But the numbers were up almost 900,000 extra anglers last year over the previous year. And I forget the number, but it's over $1 million of increased revenue. Because what happened was, because of the value of the license from the day of purchase, people traded up from a 1 day or the 1 day license sales to the year license sales. So the dollar increase was there for the department. So everything that we explained why we wanted to do it and how came to fruition. So that's good. Now the next step was that we also, in part of that bill, auto renewal was part of the previous package, which is good. So now not only do you get a 365 license from the date of purchase, but you can put auto renewal if you do it online. And people want to do that because unless they're like us who have the Mexican fishing license, are used to knowing when the date of expiration is, it's better to just have it come up on your tablet and say auto renew to remind you. Now, the other part to that is that there's an electronic application, which is live. It just went live. So you can go to your Play Store or whatever, Apple, whatever, and download CDFW license. And then it will, as soon as you sign in, it'll bring up your current license. Good news is it'll tell you when to expire and it'll tell you when to renew it. And you can now use that to show wardens. Now you will, when you renew your license, you will always get a paper copy still, but this gives you another option in case you forgot or you moved tackle boxes or whatever. So you have another option to show your license. The better part of that, which is people didn't know, is that we redid the regulation book. It just got reformatted because they are not printing them anymore. In the application, you can download the current regulations. All of the books, they're all available. The best part is, as they do electronic updates to the regs, in the licensing app, if you go there, it will tell you that you need to re-download the book because there's updates. Where if you just download it from the website, you won't know that. You have to manually go do that. So there's certain things that we're leaning towards and trying to get to, which are going to help.
I like that. I like that it's online. I like that you get to keep your license on your phone. None of us go anywhere without our phone. Let's be perfectly honest. And how much better is that you just flash your phone and show them, there's my fishing license. Gang, that's a giant thing. That's humongous. That is so cool. And then we got a lot to talk about the rockfish, but we're going to come to that later on in the show, gang. So just kick back and relax and try to keep your negative comments to yourself. We don't need any negative. We're only talking positive today, gang. So understand that we're talking about the positive things, and there's been a ton of positive things. Tim Ogilvy asked, are we fighting the DFG? Are we fighting politicians? Are we fighting both? Gang, we're not fighting. We're trying to keep the ocean open so we can go fishing. And that's what we're trying to do. We don't want to use the word fight because that's a negative, and that's going to, like Wayne explained to me a little while ago, you have to learn how to play the game. And so we don't want to say we're fighting anybody. We don't want to use these negative terminologies, Tim. We want to make it as positive as we can. All we're trying to do to bring it all down, we're trying to keep fishing open so we can take our kids fishing, period. That's what it's all about, is taking your kids fishing. Keep the negative out of it and understand that. And what would you say to that question? How would you address that? Because I know you hear that all the time.
Everybody needs to understand, no matter where you go, everybody's got a boss. And it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're the director of CDFW, you have a boss. So policies are set from the top down, and everybody are required to execute, right? If you don't like the direction of the political environment and the direction and the goals that they're setting, vote. That's the answer. That's the easiest way. You have to vote, because it's based from the top down on those directions and those goals that they're setting. The people on the bottom, the people that are employees, are very dedicated in what they do. They are passionate about what they do. And the majority of them are consumptive people just like us. And they are passionate just like we are, but they have a job to do. And they have their goals and objectives that they have to set. So, they're doing a job. Our job is to work with them and work with management to figure out how best to get to our goals, which are responsible and sustainable recreational outdoor recreation. So if we can hit those things and keep our access, then that's what we're trying to do.
And then another thing that was hard for me to understand, but I was able to wrap my head around it because my dad basically beat it into my head. Most of these things that are happening to us are from a federal level, not so much a state level, right?
There's a lot. It depends on what we're talking about, right? So we do things at the federal level, whether that's legislation or through NOAA and National Marine Fisheries Service. That is absolutely the federal level. So things that happen on the majority of the groundfish species, the things that happen with our HMS, which is highly migratory, which are all your pelagics, what happens with Pacific halibut, not California halibut, Pacific halibut. Some of those, like the tuna and the halibut, are actually done on the international front. They're not done on the federal front. So you got to know international level stuff, federal level stuff, down to state level stuff. And so we fight it at a lot of different levels. And if you're looking at it from the federal level, what we do at Pacific Fisheries Management Council is regional advisory body. So it is Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and California, all combined to look at the whole West Coast to figure out how to manage certain species. So when we get into bigger species like salmon, or we're looking at quillback up north that goes into Oregon and Washington, if we're looking at the pelagics that are all the way up the coast now, right? The bluefin went all the way up. So those are different levels of management. When it comes to groundfish, there are certain species that are specific to our area, right? Like copper and vermilion, and those are in the southern region for California. They're not in Washington, Oregon. So then it becomes more of a state issue, even though it's federally managed. But salmon goes up and down, and that is extremely complex. So.
Yeah, I just was trying to put a little tiny bit of clarity into it.
Yeah, it is very convoluted and difficult to understand from the beginning of what is managed in the state versus what is managed in the federal level. And what happens on the federal level when we get into groundfish or salmon or any of those other species, all those things that happen at the federal level get passed to the state of California, and the Fish and Game has already said, we're going to let them manage those species, and we're going to just pass those regs through, and which is what's happening with groundfish right now.
And all they are really is enforcers of the law that was written by the lawmakers. I think maybe I'm not mentioning it the proper way, but gang, and Dave Burris, what Wayne said so eloquently a few minutes ago was, if you don't like the way it's headed, think about who you voted for. If you don't like the way we're trying to make it as soft as we possibly can without getting pulled down and taken off the air. But if you don't like what's happening, gang, it's not that hard to figure it out. It really isn't. We got to be very careful what we say, both of us, because like Wayne always says, we got to play the game. But the bottom line is the boss, the guy in charge, go all the way to the top.
It goes in votes, right? Whether we vote for the people that are in charge and our representatives, not leaders, representatives, and what they vote for, you need to hold them accountable, right? And there's 2,500 to 2,600 bills in California that are announced every year. You guys don't know 99% of those unless we bring something up or other people bring them up. But right now, it is so hard because it's not just fishing related. Right now, they're coming after us on textiles, the waterproofing material that goes into our boat covers and our clothing and our PFDs, right? They're going after us on toxic substance control. They're going after us on our emissions with CARB. There's so many different levels that we have to now watch, whether that's EPA, Coastal Commission. It just keeps going. Every agency, department, council, commission, it's just very, very convoluted. And we have to be vigilant, consistently vigilant to make sure that we don't get blindsided by something. But this is why it's important that we have built coalitions and we work with our partners. We don't work alone. CCA Cal couldn't do it by themselves. Nobody can do this by themselves. I don't care who you are. The big federal agencies, they or groups, they can't do it by themselves. So it's all of us working together, and the coalitions that we have built. Look at our relationship with SAC. Good example, Dave. Ken Frankie and the team, all of them that work so hard. We couldn't do what they do. We don't have that horsepower, but we work together. And that has been a very good relationship. ASA, the Tackle Association, works with us. Our Boating Association, NMMA, our partners at the federal level, our federal lobbyists, right? The Center for Sport Fishing Policy. All of these things are organizations, CCA National. We're the state of California, but National helps us on the federal level, right? So all of those partners that we work together, and that's just scratching the surface. We have a very long list of political and associated coalition partners that we work with, and each one are necessary because everybody has their own touch point, everybody has their own network and outreach.
Yeah, and that's why CCA, gang, is so important, because it's the only voice where we get to find out what's going on. You can go into the website and you can read about all the different things that Wayne and Chris and all of us are fighting for to keep open, but they explain it so that we can understand it too, where there's so much stuff going on out there, so much white noise going on all the time. If you really want to find out what's really going on, you go to the ccacalifornia.org website, you start to read the articles, because Wayne and Chris spend so much, and Tony spend so much time putting all this information together that they're gathering out at these meetings. That's what the big thing is. Being a part of CCA, we start to get informed and start to learn about what is really going on, what is all the real thing, because everything else is just noise. And you hear stuff coming out of a lot of different people's mouths. But I always say, if you want the truth, go look at what's going on at ccacalifornia.org. And the website, I have the QR code up there on the screen. And I know a lot of you don't want to grab the QR code because it takes you off the show. Grab it, put it on your phone, come right back. Just go real quick, get the QR code, come right back to us. And we're going to talk so much more about what's going on. So tune in, hit the share button, hit the like button. I want to show you something, though. This is super important. Dave has designed a bag. We work so hard to keep the fish open so we can go fishing. But the real cool thing is nowadays we're really, really responsible for keeping our catch at a level where we can take it home and enjoy it. Check out this bag that Dave and his crew has developed over there at Deckhand Sports. You won't believe this. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Wayne, or not, but this is a pretty spectacular bag. Let me see if I got this video. So that bag is incredible. Leak proof is a huge thing. So you can throw that in the back of your car after you have a great day out fishing. You throw it in your car and you can transport your fish home. It's just an all-around phenomenal bag. If you guys want to save 15% on it, there's the QR code. Grab it. Plus Dave and everybody at Deckhand Sports, big supporter of CCA. They're constantly donating to all the different club events you guys have and all the different things. Dave's a big supporter. So just understand that he's given back too, and it takes we all to be involved. So check out Deckhand Sports, go to the QR code there, grab the bag, look at all the different products. He has so many products. We showed the backpacks for taking your lobsters home and so much more. And I want to thank all the members for supporting Deckhand Sports. Dave, thank you very much for being a part of the show. I really appreciate it. Wayne.
No, thanks, Dave. I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a bag right now, get one. Those fish are coming up the coast right now, and they're pushing 200 pounds again. So you're going to need this bag. You're going to want this bag. I don't care if you just leave it in your car for when you get back to the dock. You're going to want one.
Yeah, that's good to know because of the fact you could set it in your car and put the ice in it and it doesn't leak. See, Wayne didn't say the back of your truck. He said your car. That's a huge thing, gang. Most of us don't have a big giant truck that gets 9 miles to a gallon. We have a car. We want to put our fish in there and most bags leak, but the Deckhand
they're not big enough to hold these fish.
Right.
There's the other part. You put it in a cooler and that tail's sticking out, and it's hitting the top of your roof and your wife's getting mad because why does my car smell?
Yeah, that's a
big one. That.
But hey, there's something really cool. Chris Wheaton put together, and you and Chris and Tony put together a phenomenal tournament that's going to help CCA out so much. I got a couple of pictures here. Got a cool picture of Tony hanging out over the rail at the boat at the Bard Hall show. This tournament is going to be incredible. A lot of my members on my website and a lot of the followers at Your Saltwater Guide all went over and signed up at the PCS show or at the Bard Hall show. They're super excited because any fish can win. It doesn't have to be one of those 200-pound bluefin, right, Wayne?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this a little bit differently than some states. We aren't able to tag fish. In some of the CCA states, they can tag a fish, and you catch a tagged fish, you can win prizes. This is different. We want to make sure that this was open to the whole public, right? Everybody should have access to it. So there's multiple categories and minimum sizes. But what you do is if you're a CCA member, you go online and you sign up for this star tournament, and it goes from May 25th to September 2nd, so Memorial Day to Labor Day. There are a ton of opportunities to win things, some really cool things. It's a 14-week tournament. There are weekly prizes, and then there are grand prizes. And that Parker 18-foot, which is the brand new model, upgraded to a Yamaha 150 with the trailer, is one of the grand prizes at the end. But all you need to do is download Fishing Chaos application once you register, and then you have one of these star measuring tapes, and every time you catch a qualifying fish, you put it on the tape measure and you upload it to Fishing Chaos. And what that does is you can catch 2 of each species per day, and from each of those 5 categories. And all that does is each one of those is a raffle ticket into the drawings. So whether that is for the weekly prizes or the grand prizes, you just keep adding more raffle tickets in. So you're going to go fishing anyway, and now you have a chance to win some cool prizes too along the way and help out CCA California. Now,
is there a link on your website? If I throw the QR code up for the website?
Yeah, there's a link on CCA California's website. There's also a link through our, there's a Facebook page. So you can go to either one of those. But ccacalifornia.org, you can start there. There's actually a star page, and there's a star group also on social media. So there's a lot of things going on. Chris Wheaton, he is our chairman of this event, and I believe he's online with us right now. So if you have questions about Star, put him in the chat, and he should be able to answer them. But it's a really cool process. It's one of those things. It's how do you put on another tournament and have fun, right? And we don't want to lose money, obviously. So we're doing our best to try to figure out how to make this work. It has a lot of momentum right now. I believe there's over 450 people signed up right now. And you can, if you're going to go fishing, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do it, because you can actually do it while you're in one of your other tournaments too. Right? I mean, all these guys are in fishing clubs or they're fishing other tournaments throughout the year. There's all these categories. I don't care if you just want to go down and fish in the surf or fish on a pier, go on your boat on a sunset, trip. You have an opportunity to catch qualifying fish. So why not be in it and try to win some good prizes, some fun prizes?
Did you see the picture or the comment Bill Varney made? Can you catch a fish outside of California and qualify?
U.S. waters.
U.S. waters.
Yeah, you can't go south of the border.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's good to know.
Yep.
And gang, everything we're talking about benefits CCA California. So you give a donation, we appreciate that. You get involved in you're all going to go fishing anyway, like Wayne said. You're all going fishing. That's why you're watching the show. You all fish. Might as well get involved and be in the tournament. You never know. You could win all kinds of stuff. At the end, you could even win a boat. That would be spectacular. But gang, at the end of the day, we need you all to be involved with ccacalifornia.org. The QR code is up there. Wayne and I, Mike Lum said a couple weeks ago when he was on the show, we're past the point of asking. Now we're at the point of begging. We need you all to be involved, gang. Mike Lum summed it up perfect. We asked you for years and years to get involved. Period. End of story. We're going to beg now because we need us all to be involved. I don't want to live in a world where I can't take my grandkids fishing. I don't want to live there. I do not want to live there. You got to remember who is running the show, and you got to get involved. Period. Those are the two things I'm going to request from you. Think about who you're voting for. They're running the show. Okay, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's never going to come out of my mouth. But just understand, if you like what's going on right now, then keep doing what you're doing. If you're sick of it, you're sick of the closures, think about it when you go there to fill in the blank. And second of all, don't complain if you're not a part of this. Right, Wayne?
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to sit on the sideline and be a keyboard jockey and tell people what to do. It's a lot harder once you get into the process. It's nothing like the old days. It is extremely complex now. And unfortunately, it does take money to lobby and to do all these things. You got to understand, traveling is expensive. You want us at the meetings to represent y'all, that's expensive. And, we're doing the best we can, and we're being as frugal as we can, but we also need to be there in a lot of cases. You can't do everything virtually. So the bills add up, and we got to figure out how to cover them. And we just need more resources. Trust me, one person can't cover it all, never could cover it all. Thank God we have our coalition partners to help out, to cover where we can't. But realistically, we need more staff, and staff takes money to fund it. So we're trying to do the fun way, right? With tournaments and banquets and fundraising events and trips, because gosh knows, I'd rather be fishing rather than doing this. So, but the more anybody can help us out, we'd appreciate it. We have chapters from Morro Bay now, all the way down to San Diego, all the way into the Inland Empire, San Diego, San Bernardino, Riverside. We have membership drives. We just did them at all the shows, right? That we just went through our whole show. The last one's coming up here is Day at the Docks in San Diego. We'll be there with a tent. We have banquets coming up. There's one in every chapter, at least one event that way. We have charters coming up, so members can get on our charters. There's 5 of them coming up. We have another couple that we're planning, but that'll be during the window of Star. So not only can you get on a membership charter and have fun fishing with us, but you can also participate in the Star tournament while you're out there, And then we also try to give back, right? We do this Anthony Shea Conservation Award dinner. Your dad won it one of the years. And we're going to be giving it away this year to Mark Rolick, who has been a very big partner in our advocacy, almost as to the level of your dad. And he's still on the Pacific Fisheries Management Council, and he participates a lot of the federal level and in Northern California. But he's going to get it. It's going to be at the Grand in Long Beach on June 27th. So that is also up on the events and able to start buying tickets and tables to that. So we'd love to see you all there. It'll be a party. We like to throw good parties. So grab a table, grab your friends, come out and party with us.
Absolutely. And gang, we got a phenomenal amount of people watching live right now. I want to ask you all to do us a huge favor. Right on the very bottom of your screen, there's a little swoosh thing right next to where you're making your comments. It looks like almost like the Nike swoosh. Hit that. That's going to be your share button to share to all your contacts, all your friends. Everybody needs to be aware of what's going on because CCA California is super important and we need more of people. We need more people involved. So it's going to help if you share. It's going to cost you nothing to share, but if you share this, more people will hear this. And as you go about your day after this show is over, tell people to go watch this. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple, Megaphone, YouTube, Facebook. It'll be available forever. You can go watch it and you can find out all the great things that CCACalifornia.org does to keep fishing open. For maybe you're not a fisherman. Maybe you don't even like fish, but maybe one of your grandkids or uncle or niece or nephew, somebody's going to want to fish one day. And I don't want to live in that world. So let's be honest and let's share the heck out of this with everybody. Please, gang, that it's free to share. It's not going to cost you nothing and it'll help tremendously. So do that for me and Wayne, please. And everybody in California that wants to fish, do this for us. Okay. Thank you very, very much. So now, Wayne, we've waited about 40 minutes. Let's talk about rockfish for a minute.
Okay.
How's it? How are we looking here? We got 2 days till the opener.
Okay,
Monday,
so here's what's going on. We have, let me put it into perspective. When you're looking at management, there is supply side and demand side, just like in economics. Supply side is your stock assessment, your recruitment, the inventory, right? What do you have available? And then you have the demand side, which how much are you taking? Who's taking out where? The commercial, the sport fishing boats, the recreational angler, whoever, right? Demand side, we already know the majority of that because we have electronic reporting on commercial and CPFE, the commercial passenger vessels, the sport boats. The samplers up and down the coast from what they call surf samplers from the Department of Fish and Wildlife sample the recreational anglers, and they extrapolate that out to a whole. Statistically, there are 80 samplers in California. On the supply side, think about this number. They have to figure out how much stock is out there. You're going to count every fish and everywhere that we have? No. How do you know about recruitment? How do you know what age class is out there? How do you know how much young have been breeding or out there that are coming up into the age class for take? So, and how do you know how robust that breeding class is? So think about that side of it and think about what we do on our side. And when they don't have the money and the resources to go out there and do proper independent stock assessments, not dependent, independent stock assessments, trying to figure out some of this information, they statistically model it. Okay, I can statistically model it and make it mathematically correct and reality wrong. Okay, demand side is measuring us against what we're taking out of that resource. Great. But if you don't know how much is available to take, but you know how much, that doesn't matter, right? What do we have? We keep saying it. If we fish really well, we're overfishing. If we don't fish enough, they claim the stock is crashing because that's what the models will say based on that, what I just explained. And this is our rub. We need better data on the science side of what we do as far as the stock assessment side. We need that independent data. We know it's wrong. We know it's missing. They know it's missing and wrong, but they don't have another tool when they don't do the work. So our job right now is to fix that problem. We're going out right now trying to work with all levels of the Science Center and the groups to figure out how to put projects and money and people behind to get that data filled in. We don't trust the numbers, but those numbers are being used against us. That's the rub right now. So If we don't fix this problem, we're just going to keep kicking this can down the road and getting our butts kicked, right? And we're going to keep losing. So we got to go fix this problem. We got to make sure why we did push for descending devices, because it'll help with mortality. There's another piece. They don't actually know what natural mortality versus bycatch mortality is on the species. So again, you don't know how much inventory you have out there to work with, supply, but yet they're measuring us against take. Are they giving us credit, full credit for all the closures, the time-based closures, the restrictions that we have? Are they measuring all of that and giving us credit for, or are we just being measured on the space that's available to us to fish? And yes, we may be overfishing the open area, but that doesn't mean the stock is crashing. That doesn't mean we're getting to that point of overtake, right? So these are the questions and why we need to be involved in the whole process, why we need to dig deeper behind the scenes to find the right questions to ask to fix the problems of the missing data so that we can get behind the data, the analysis, and the models to agree on where we really are at. Because right now we don't agree with where we're at, but we have to use those things because that's the process that we've all agreed to use. There's no pause, as we put it, there's no pause button. When they get it wrong, they can't stop because the process is so rigid. And that doesn't matter if it's on the state side or the federal side. We all have this problem. And so we are working through those issues. So we're trying to work on, spawning stock. We're trying to fish age class. We're trying to do sampling projects. We're trying to get them their data that they need, trying to watch it. Now, think about this one, Dave. Remember that issue on sardines and anchovy? That study is going to be part of the Higgs study in 2025. We're going through right now what that process of that study is going to be and how they're going to do that. And there's multiple parts to it. There's this part of what are the age classes and selectivity within the groups. And then there's the part of actually doing measurement. So we're going through the different processes right now to figure out how we're going to get there. Because if you think about what's happening, we're in that transition between anchovy and sardine right now. We're in that mix cycle. That could hurt us on both sides, right? Because it's not going to be 100% one or the other. So we got to make sure that the reality is there, that it doesn't mean that the stock is dying. It's just in a transition period.
Yeah. And then, okay, big question for me. You and I talked about this year and a half ago, this descending device debate that's out there all over. You and I said it 100,000 times. You should have one, period.
Yeah.
Just so that we're ahead of this so we got to look good. We got to look good. So
we got to do it right. We need to be responsible. It's our resources, right? So we're going to take lead. Why they didn't have it? We started descending devices here in California for the right reason. And everybody else took them and they put them as part of their management. But the state of California didn't want to do it. And I couldn't understand why. So I actually filed the petition for CCA Cal to make it a requirement for descending devices to be on the boat. And then we left it as open as that, right? And the definition of the descending device is broad right now. It could be an upside down snelled hook that you crimp the barb at this point, which, Dave, you need to put that video up there and how to do that because people don't know how to snell, I guess. But, but you can just put that upside down barb right on your hook in line and you can still have your dropper loop below it and you can descend and fish at the same time. Might as well be productive. But you can do that all the way up to a $100 descending device. This is going to actually happen. It's part of the reg package that's going through right now with the groundfish regulations is that you will now need a descending device to be on board while you're ground fishing, rock fishing. But that's important because it's still us saying that we believe in our sustainability and responsibility towards conservation efforts, right? Now, what's going to happen is for every species that we manage, and we're going to be using those descending devices, the scientists now have to figure out what is that mortality rate on descended fish. And they have to do it specific to each species. I didn't realize that. I found that out during my, our discoveries. But it's not like they haven't started it. They have already started those projects. So as they come up, it will help us because right now we get anything that's returned is considered 100% mortality. So all this is going to do is help us get better numbers, more accurate numbers into the models. But this is why we have to be proactive.
just so people understand, there's not everybody understands what rockfish, the whole thing is. I want you all to understand there's a lot of people watching right now. When you bring a rockfish up from 300, or let's just say from 200 plus feet down, what happens is they get air all over through their bodies, and their body blows up with the air, and they float on the surface when you go to return them back to the ocean. And the worst look you can have as a fisher person is fish floating around your boat. That is a horrible look for us. It makes us look horrible. So that's why Wayne and I have been talking about this descending device for so long, is because we don't want to be that ugly fisherman out there with a bunch of fish float. And I know you don't like that one, so you only want this one. You can only have 2 of those and 8 of these, and you don't want the other ones. You can't have floating around your boat, gang. It's not a good look. And Wayne can't go into the meeting and say, hey, we're policing ourselves. And then they pull up 5 pictures of 5 different boats in 5 different areas with fish floating all around their boats. Wayne can't fight that. He has nothing to say. He stands there in the meeting and he looks like he doesn't know what he's talking about. We all have to be a part of this. Just like you told me, my sister and you told me a year and a half ago about the copper rockfish. We were throwing phenomenal eating fish. The copper rockfish is a phenomenal eater, great, beautiful white meat, but you're like, hey, we need to start throwing these things back. Let's show no take. Let's show 0 take before it's too late. We try to be in front of all these things, gang. That's what we're trying to do, because we are working so hard to make it so that we don't get close. So that's why we talk about the descending device. Whether it was a law or not, it didn't matter. We had to have them on the boat, and we didn't want to look that bad in front of everybody else. Right, Wayne?
It's the right thing to do, right? I mean, stick with the goals of what we're saying. Responsible outdoor recreation, right? So for the conservation efforts, for sustainability, if you're going to release that fish because it's undersized, you might as well give it a fighting chance to survive. And the descending device has proven to be that tool. So people that don't want to do it, I don't understand. Do you want to be able to fish in the future or not? I mean, we're helping ourselves, for our future. So it's the right thing to do. It's just the next level of things that we have to get to.
Right. And the rockfish thing is the rockfish thing, gang. And it's already posted, and it is what it is. And Wayne went to the meetings and he just explained to you why it is what it is. And you're not going to beating your hand on the table and yelling and screaming is not going to change it. We need to be more involved. We need more people involved so that we have more money to get this science taken care of and show people what's going on. I don't want to beat the rockfish thing to death, because it is what it is. You can see it. It's written down. We know what it is. The regs are there. But Wayne, what are a few things you think that everybody that's watching this show needs to be aware of that's coming down the tracks right now that can you give us any idea?
Well, let's go back to the groundfish real quick and let everybody understand. So at Pacific Fisheries Management Council, we had to take, as Merritt put, the least worst option to keep us open. So the department worked with us. We looked at a lot of different scenarios, and each time you look at a scenario, it is a statistical nightmare to go through it, right? So you're trying to stay within the copper limits. You're trying then also to have to stay within the vermilion limit, which opened us up. We're trying to give the most amount of days on the water and the most amount of time in the zones that you want to fish. But each one of those scenarios cause its own problems. So we had unintended consequences of Central Coast, which is that Morro Bay Avila area that got caught up in the quillback issue. So they were cut off from a certain amount of fishing for themselves. And we recognized that as an unintended consequence of management action that CDFW put out last year. So CDFW worked with us to try to split that up. Now there's a new line, Central North and Central South at Point Lopez on the 36 degree line. So we tried to bring 36 South in with the southern region. But anybody who's ever been up the Morro Bay and Avila knows they catch phenomenal amount of vermilion, and they're big and they're beautiful. There's no shortage up there. Why? There's no pressure. We have a lot of pressure in our southern region, but they don't have that level of pressure. They get a lot of tourism in there, and there's sport boats up there, but there's such good open area and quantities of fish. Now, when we did that, it threw us into a little loop on our regulations, and that's why you're seeing the bag limit go down from 4 to 2 for the vermilion. Okay? But that to do that gave us the 9 months of open season too. That's what we tried to do, was give us the most access. But if you look at the regs as they are proposed right now, you're going to see date, time, and depth restrictions, and then that change to vermilion down to 2. Now, what that means, and then you're looking at Northern California, they wanted that inshore. They couldn't go out to 50 fathom. People don't understand there's a long shelf out there, and they want to stay inside of the 20 fathom. So the state created a 20 fathom line for them to help out, for the whole state, but to really help out that Northern Cal guy so they can stay on the water and fish. Now, from 20 to 50 is that zone where the quillback are. So what we're trying to do is avoid the quillback. Okay, so we have all of these different pieces between the quillback, the copper, the vermilion, all these other scenarios that come up, and we have to stay within harvest guidelines. And so those scenarios are using those models, right, wrong, or otherwise, but we have to use those models that are given to us to stay within certain regulations. And that's what we tried to do. We tried to offer up the best amount of time, the best depths, and the best bag limits available to the anglers to keep us out of trouble. And I always say it this way. You can't keep blaming the anglers when they stay within the regulations that are given to them and then blame them for overfishing, right? It just doesn't make sense to me. And if we don't have a better model and we're not doing more forward forecasting, like in every other industry, that you can take your foot off the pedal when you need to before you go over the line, then shame on the models or shame on the methodology for reporting. So we're working with them to try to figure out how to do that a little bit better, right? So one, be positive looking forward, not always in the rearview mirror and saying the sky is falling every time that it happens. We're trying to get to that. And then we're trying to help with the science to try to inform the data models better, trying to clean up the confusion of the uncertainties or the conservativeness inside of those models, because there's factors in there that are fudge factors for conservatism. And then we're trying to all get a better handle on it. If we can get to a point where we all agree that we trust the model and it's as best that we can get the data that's in there, then we won't have these fights. Because right now we're fighting because those models don't show us what we're seeing on the water. And that's where the rub is. We need to be able to trust the models in the long run.
And what do you think that's going to take?
Well, we're working on it. It's one step at a time. I mean, nothing happens overnight. It's the government. It's process. We've already started working with it. We're working with sampling projects. We did one a few weeks ago up in Santa Barbara to start with sampling of fecundity, which is the spawning cycle of the copper and vermilion and everything. That's just starting cycle. We're starting the SAC fleet has been doing sampling on the copper for the last year, trying to get biological samples to aid in the missing data, and then we're working on the mortality thing with the descending devices on certain species with National Marine Fisheries Service. All of these things are important. Every one of them is a piece. What we need to find out is they're collecting all this data. Do they have too much data in one area, but not enough someplace else? So in other words, your focus, your efforts, and your time and your money is being spent maybe in the wrong place. But yet we need to get better clarification someplace else, but we're not even looking at it yet. Those are the questions that need to get answered, and we need to find those things. And that's why the group of us are digging so hard and working with the people that are actually doing this stuff. Is it that we're sampling incorrectly? Are we getting the right geography on that sampling? Are we getting the right number of samples? Are those samples being processed correctly at the science center? Or are they being bottlenecked because they don't have the staff and the time to do it? Is that data being correctly inputted into the model? Remember, it's a sample. So then you have to go through a statistical model to extrapolate it out to a whole. That's statistics, right? But do you agree with it? I don't know. These are all questions. And every one of those is very, very complex. And that's what's so hard about this. So we're working on the supply side. We're going to help try to clean up some of the demand side with the sampling at the recreational side. Those are the pieces that we know that we need to work on right now. And then regulation-wise, is the after output of all of these efforts.
So
I know.
gang,
I know.
hope
This is what's so hard about it. It is very complex, and that's at the federal level. The state level is a whole nother ball game.
yeah. So if you guys are kind of confused like I am listening to this, that's why it's super important to be involved with CCA, because again, can you imagine if we didn't have Wayne and Chris and Tony and all of the other people that are involved with CCACalifornia.org? If we just didn't have anything at that table up there talking back to all these people, they would run right over us. They would just, there's no reason for them to not. They just want to close everything with no science. And Wayne and everybody at CCA are saying, hey, wait a minute. Let's try to get some data. Let's try to get some little bit of data. And SAC is super involved in that. We are all working together to try to keep this open for all of us so that we can go fishing. And that's why I told you every day on the show, please get involved with CCA, because gang, if it sounded confusing to you, it's super confusing to all of us. But Wayne's in there every day seeing both sides and the middle, and he's looking at every angle, and he's coming back and he's telling us what the heck's going on. Oh my goodness.
And this is just groundfish, Dave.
I know.
Look at how many species that we were watching and managing. Man, I don't even want to get into what's going on with salmon right now. That is so damn complex. You talk about some data that's missing and you know, and stuff. And then it's the water issues. I mean, God, that is just nightmare.
And all of a sudden we caught some halibut last year. So now that's now all of a sudden that moved up the board.
Actually, it's been interesting because California halibut has been on their list for the last 9 years as the next species of concern to do fisheries management on. 9 years, Dave. 9 years ago. And they're just now coming after us. And they came to us at a meeting with their reports, and they came after the recreational fishing before they were ready to go with the commercial fishing. And the majority of the catch is done at the commercial level without any quotas, right? Or any caps. So who really has the larger portion, and how come you're not going after the larger offender of what you're claiming is the issue? So we fought that back. They put it on hold until they come back with the full package of putting the commercial and the rec together in one package. So we were able to hold that one off because they were going to take our bag limit again on that one. You know, and we were like, you have no the rationale. Now think about all the closures that we have along our coastline. We're the spawning areas, right? All the MPAs, all the beaches and stuff that are closed, all the lagoons that are closed to it. We could never get to the level that they're claiming that they're at. Where's the stock assessment? Again, where's the first part of the scenario that feeds everything else, right? Where's the age class study? Where are we at? And yet all they're looking at is, you know, a couple of boats that say in San Francisco Bay that's having a phenomenal season because they can't go fish for anything else, right? So they're hitting the, you know, and we knew that was going to happen, right? That's why we went after when the salmon was closed, we said, hey, you're going to have to take the bag limit down on the halibut because that's going to be the next thing. And when they're done with that, they're going to go after the stripers, right? I mean, this is going to be one of those unintended consequences of management actions, or maybe intended, we don't know. But if we don't watch all of these things, right? We talk about groundfish. I'm going to go back to that. Can't go copper, can't go vermilion. What's the next species you're going to go after, Dave? You're going to go after some bass. You're going to go after a white sea bass. You're going to go after what else is down there, right?
Right.
Think about it. Now, scorpionfish, treefish, what?
Sand dabs.
Sand dabs, right? But there's always an unintended consequences. And if anybody doesn't understand that, I'll take you back to a scenario that happened. We have in southern region, down here in Southern California, we have time and depth-based restrictions, right? You couldn't go rock fishing January through March, all these other issues. One of the unintended consequences was we got to the point of overfishing sculpin. It came down where they were like, well, you guys overfish sculpin. Well, there was nothing else available for the boats to go out for during that time period in the inshore area. It's an unintended consequence of management action, but they didn't see it that way, right? So it's us that have to always be the reality check of everything that's going on out there. So I always have to put up there, or we always have to put up there, be careful what you do because nothing is linear. Nothing goes in by itself, a silo, right, of management. So with this thing of time-based closures, area restrictions and everything, what are we going to do, right? Yeah, there you go, cabezon. There's another one, lingcod. Lingcod came up at one point, right? We had to take our bag limits down. Sheep's head, California sheephead, that's another one that came up, and we took our foot off the pedal on purpose. We put it out there, and everybody, thank you for taking your foot off the pedal on that one. It's never ending. That's why we have to keep doing what we're doing.
I'm gonna ask you a question because I heard this from Mike Lum the other day. Are we back to 30 by 30 again?
30 by 30 never went away. So let me put this into a bigger perspective of the umbrella. In California, we have 30 by 30, which is them trying to protect 30% of our land oceans by 2030. We have the MPA decadal review going on with the petitions, which we can get into. We have wind farm for the Chumash National Marine Sanctuary, which is going to go from the base of the Monterey National Marine Sanctuary all the way down to Goleta. We have aquaculture going on. With the wind farms now, we have what I call the industrialization of our coastline, because what they're going to have to do is build manufacturing and distribution sites and support areas to service those wind farms that are going in. So if you look at it, all the land is pretty much divvied up and sold off, right? So from the perspective of the government, where can they go next? The ocean. We have marine spatial planning. We have GPS. They can now lease. They can make money on the ocean. Think about it. So now we already industrialized all of our nation. We're divvying it up. Now they're carving it back to try to protect some of it. Now they're doing the same thing on the ocean, but it's a double-edged sword. The same side that's saying, oh, we need this green energy and we're going to industrialize our ocean are the same people that are saying, oh, we need to protect it for biodiversity, ecosystem management, and everything with the 30 by 30 movement. Well, you can't really have both. I mean, somebody loses no matter which way you go on this, right? So whether or not you believe that the wind energy is the right way to go, I'd like to see you do the math and tell me how that actually pays out, because I don't see the return on investment. The cost per kilowatt's too high. And what it's going to do to our ocean, nobody really knows. The studies on the environmental impact are bogus so far. They don't know. What's it going to do to our floors? What's it going to do when you have those transmission lines with electricity running through them in currents down in our rocky bottom or habitat? What's it going to do with the wind, the change in the wind energy? What's it going to do on the swell energy? What's it going to do to our birds? There's so many different factors that are in there, and it's going to shift no matter what you do. If you put 1,000 of those things out there on the water, it's going to change the migratory patterns, right? Some species will be attracted to electrical current, and some won't. We already know that where there's electrical current in the water, halibut or flatfish will be avoiding it. So that's going to shift your halibut grounds or any of the flatfish species. The platforms themselves could end up being fads, right? Fish attractants devices. So if the bait go underneath of them, then it's going to attract everything else. But we won't be able to fish around them most likely because they're floating platforms. What is that restricted fishing area? What's it going to do to our grounds? Commercial or rec. All of us get hurt on this. And then the manufacturing facilities that are going to be created to do this, we're talking about building a brand new manufacturing facility outside the federal break wall in Long Beach. Huge. But think about the habitat that they're talking about trying to save with 30 by 30 in the MPAs. Think about what that federal break wall is like. We fished that break wall. We know the kelp and the eelgrass and everything that's on there, all the lobster, everything that's along that break wall and how good that habitat is. And then we're going to just fill it in and make an island out there for manufacturing. This is where we're struggling with it, right? We're either way, no matter what happens, we're going to lose. And we're going to lose some really good habitat right outside that break wall if they do this. And then you got the same thing up in Humboldt, where it used to be a timber processing plant area, but it's really shallow. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to have to tear up and dredge to get to the depth to be able to do manufacturing and stuff. Well, that's habitat. That's really good habitat with eelgrass and everything, which is what they're trying to protect and build towards. And they're just going to rip it up to industrialize our coastline. So there are issues. I mean, and then, we all were watching the news with the sonar studies that they're going to have to do to do this. Now, think about the coastline of California and how robust it is right now. You see that picture of that tail behind me? We have whales, we have sharks, the bird populations come back. Whether you like them or not, the sea lions have come back. Everything is plentiful. We have bait, we have tuna, we have all these species coming back. We're trying to protect our coral and sponges. We just opened up the cow cod conservation area as of January 1. And as soon as we go to all depth, it's going to be available to us to go fish here in Southern California. All these things are great. We are really living the results of all of our conservation efforts. And then they're going to do that on the ocean. That just scares me. That just scares the heck out of me, because they don't know what they're going to do to us and to the thing that we have worked so hard to protect.
Yeah, the marine life, the thing,
all of it. It's all going to shift. Your everything that happens, because the fish swim up and down the coastline, and you're going to put 1,000 of those platforms off the coastline right in that transit area. And it's that area outside of that Monterey, Morro Bay area, which is where the turtle migration happened, the swordfish migration happened, the bird migration happened. Everything happens right there. And now they're going to do that. And so that's why we're fighting so hard. We want to know the answers on how this is all going to work, because nobody's crystal ball has all of those pieces put together.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable to think of all this coming out. And then the thing that no one's really talked about in this 30 by 30 thing, and you talked about in the very beginning of our show, how when you were a little boy, you used to go up to Mammoth and fish. They want to close a bunch of streams and lakes in California too, gang. You guys that fish only fresh water that are watching the show, you're in for it too. You guys always laugh at the saltwater guy. You guys cry about it all the time as they take your stuff. They're coming for you guys too this time. The 30 by 30.
The hatcheries are having issues. The plants are going down. The amount of the trout plants are going down right now. And you think about it, if we didn't have the hatcheries, we wouldn't be fishing trout in California. We would have depleted that one a long time ago. I mean, it's the right thing to do, which is why we do the hatchery program with the saltwater side with the white sea bass, and we're trying to do it with California halibut, getting ahead of them. Again, we're trying to be proactive, and we're trying to go on the offense on things that we think are coming. We're trying to work for our future instead of being reactive on everything and always being against the wall. So,
and gang, I promised Wayne that would only be an hour. Him and I could talk to you all about this stuff forever. It would never stop. Wayne is super busy. I know you got a million things going on. You're looking at your watch. It's already 6 minutes past. I know that you got to get going. And I appreciate you giving us this time, Wayne. Everybody out there that's watching and listening, understand you got to get involved, period. End of story. We need you to get involved. That's why I bring Wayne on the show once or twice a year, is to let you all understand what is really going on out there. We didn't even scratch the surface of what's really going on out there, and it already scared the living bejesus out of most of you. So please find it in your heart to help us. Get involved. Let us all know that you want to help by getting involved. If you're not involved, if you don't get involved with ccacalifornia.org, then you really don't have anything. You might as well just quit fishing, period. Put all your stuff away and go. I don't know what you do if you don't fish, but whatever that is, go do that. But if you're in fishing at all, stop, think about who you voted for. And second of all, be involved with California, ccacalifornia.org. It's super important, please. Wayne,
I see all the thank yous out there. I appreciate you guys. I mean, we're doing it because we're passionate about our fishery, our ecosystem, our environment, the biodiversity that's out there. We're doing it for the access for all of us. I see somebody asking about a sticker with a QR code. My email is wkotow@ccacalifornia.org. Hit me up after this. I saw that Mike Lewis was asking about his membership at PCS. We send all those memberships over to National in Houston, Texas, and they process them all. They should be getting back to us on those memberships, or getting back to you on your membership. I've got your name written down. We'll try to look it up and see where it stands and have them reach out to you if you haven't gotten your card and your membership info yet. But that's all getting handled at National. So I was watching as many as I could. The messages going across. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. We work hard because we're passionate about our fishery, our industry, our sport. This is my favorite sport. I mean, and I could not imagine losing this, not in my future at least. So, thank you all. To pass the word, get people to sign up. We need your help. We need everybody to participate at our events. We're trying to have events that have fun. So come out and enjoy it with us. Whether it's a banquet or one of our fishing tournaments or the Star Tournament or one of our fishing membership, charters, come out and enjoy it with us. Come see us at the shows. We got Day at the Docks coming up. We'll have our tent there. And again, we have the Anthony Shea Award thing coming up in June in Long Beach. Go up to ccacalifornia.org or hit that QR code. Everything's up there. And if you have any questions, my contact information is public. Everybody knows how to get a hold of me. And if you don't, get a hold of Dave. He knows how to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. And you guys know my phone number is on every bathroom wall in America. So I'm not hard to find.
I put them there.
Yes. And Wayne, thank you. Donna, thank you. Chris, Tony, every single person that's involved with CCACalifornia.org. My heart goes out to all of you because I know you guys are just fighting this fight relentlessly. And I know the time involved is just incredible. So I want to thank everybody. Wayne, Kelly girl just wants to say hi. She just walked in just to say hi. She's
Man, I am so bummed that I miss seeing Kelly girl. You finally got her up to Orange County, and I didn't get to see her because I couldn't make
That's all
these.
you get, Wayne.
I miss you. I'm so sorry to miss this.
You.
I have to see this guy, but I don't get to see you. Come on. We know who's number one, Dave.
Oh, absolutely. Believe me.
Thanks, Wayne, for everything you do for us and the fishing community. You're the best, and my heart goes out to you and everybody. We just appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
So, gang, relax. Take it easy this weekend. There's a phenomenal storm coming in. Batten down the hatches. Take your boat covers off. Get ready. This is going to be a big whopper storm again. The amount of rain that's coming, it's incredible what they're calling for. So do yourselves a favor. Share this with everybody. Everybody should watch this weekend so that you have more awareness of what's going on out there. This is the show you should watch. Turn off all the news because they're all lying. This is the only place you get the truth. And I will see you all Monday, and we'll talk about all the great things that me and Wayne talked about today on Monday when I don't have Wayne keeping me from telling you what I feel. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Wayne.
Yeah, so Dave, for people that are out there, get involved in our local chapters. Like I said, we have chapters from Morro Bay all the way to San Diego and all the way out to Riverside and San Bernardino County. So get involved in your local chapters. Join us. Get involved. Become a member of CCA. Come to our events. You know, there's so many ways for everybody to get involved, and hopefully everybody's enjoying their Good Friday and have a happy Easter.
Yeah, everybody, happy Easter. Good Friday to everybody. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for doing the share like I begged you to do. And please get involved with CCA. Grab that QR code, share the heck out of this, and I'll see you all Monday.